Welcome back to the Open Wheel Offline League Season 5, round number 12. We're here for the Italian Grand Prix. This is the third time that we'll have ever raced at Monza, first time since Season 2. And we've got an interesting starting grid for today's race, so let's get started. Back in row 12, starting in last for the second time this season, is going to be the 92 of Lawless Allen. Then to his inside, didn't set a time in qualifying. It's the 95 of Nico Hulkenberg in Barbershop Haircut Racing's final race before the team will unfortunately have to shut down due to bankruptcy. Uh, row 13, for the second race in a row, it's Devlin DiFrancesco on the outside. To his inside is the 94 of Dawa Tenzin. However, Devlin is coming off a top 10 at the Nürburgring, also coming off a good result. Robbie Lohr gets 18 aggressive Bs and his first podium of the season, finishing in second. And then to his inside, the 54 of Mahavir Raghunathan, who's kind of been out for blood against his old team the last few weeks. Hopefully that doesn't happen again, but that is now 3 times that he has been in an incident with his old team. Row 11, on the outside is the 76 of Ethan Martz, and then to the inside, the 53 of Tinkle McStinkle, who has actually won here before back in Season 2. Yes, it was on weird circumstances, but a win's a win. It would have actually gone to Stingray Robb if he hadn't pit on the last lap. He's on the inside of row 10. To his outside is the 47 of Lindsey Brewer, coming off a 4th place finish at the Nürburgring, just outside the top 10 in points. Up to row 9, you have the 7 of Carlos Huertas, looking to get another good result. And then to his inside is the 37 of Miles Rowe, who just broke into the leader circle with another 7th place finish in the season. So now he sits in 20th, just above that cut line for the 1 million bonus. On the outside of row 8, Guy Gagné, who was the best finisher for Viking Racing at a difficult race at the Nürburgring, but that was only a 14th. He's going to be starting all the way down in 19th with, 16th with a disappointing qualifying effort. To his inside is the 29 of Benjamin Peterson. Up to row 7 on the outside, also starting deeper than he would have wanted, it's the 64 of Ryan Preece. To his inside is the 49 of Francesco Draconi, who just got his second career podium at the Nürburgring, finishing in 3rd. Then row 6 on the outside is David Malukas, who just got pushed out of the leader circle, finished 19th at the Nürburgring, so Miles Rowe is just a couple points ahead of him. But he'll be starting from 12th today, and then to his inside, best road course start of the season for Glover Lohr. It's been a difficult season for him. He'll be starting in 11th. Row 5 on the outside is the 87 of Alessio Deletta, looking for another top 5 on the season, finished 5th at the Nürburgring. Then to his inside, Dorian Pin, who's had a rough last few races and has dropped to 11th in points outside the top 10. Row 4 on the outside is Louis Foster, looking to make up some points, and then Chet Jordan will be to his inside, finished 10th at the Nürburgring, but if his strategy could have worked out, he could have won that race. Row 3 is Viking Racing Party with Brennan Hubbard on the outside, his best starting spot of the season, in 6th. Then to his inside is the 19 of Nolan Siegel, looking for some redemption after causing an incident with him and his teammate at the Nürburgring. Row 2 on the outside is the driver who won, who now has the record for most wins in one season at 5. He's up to an over 2 race points lead, but he'll be starting from 4th today. Going to have to see if he can extend that lead. As to his inside, these names are not correct. That is Connor Zilich. Neither is that point total. That is not correct, but Connor Zilich could have won at the Nürburgring, but was caught up in his teammate's incident and finished down in 17th. On the outside is his best start of the season. It's the 14 of Justin Allgaier, looking for a second race win. And then Marcus Armstrong going to be starting on pole once again, so he's made it 4 out of 5 of the European leg of the season, getting poles, but still no wins. He sits 112 points behind Shane Van Gisbergen. Siegel is right in front of him, 106 points back. Those drivers looking for a good race to try to close back in. As further down, we got Louis Foster in fourth and Connor Zilic in fifth. With another win for Shane Van Gisbergen, the team standings have the gaps has gotten pretty big, and then since everyone in the top five besides Shane Van Gisbergen had a rough race at the Nürburgring, that's how he took that big lead. So for the third time in the Open Wheel Offline League's history, we're racing at Monza, 3.60 mile circuit, 30 laps. It is a very fast track known as the Temple of Speed, and this race will take place in the middle of July. It's going to be a little bit on the warmer side, I believe. As let's see what the weather looks like for today's race. So 84 degrees, a little bit of wind, but it is clear skies with a humidity of just 43%. So pretty ideal weather conditions. Let's take a look at the tire compound choices, as this will determine really the strategy of the race. Marcus Armstrong will be on the mediums, Allgaier on the hards, so he's going to be going on the hards. Zilic will also be on the hards. Van Gisbergen going to go on the softs, which is what he did at the Nürburgring, and it worked out for him. So he's going to try that strategy again. He's going to be aggressive at the start. Nolan Siegel will be on the mediums. Hubbard will be on the softs. Jordan on the hards. Foster on the softs. Pin on the softs. Deletta on the mediums. Glubler on the mediums. And Malukas on the mediums. That was your top 12. So a lot more even choice through the field than what we usually see. I think there might... It looks like a pretty even distribution between tire compound choices for today's race. Once again, it's going to be another single file start. It's just been working out better that way. It's not the most exciting way to start, but So Marcus Armstrong has been caught up in a lot of incidents, specifically with the 54 Mahavir Raghunathan starting back in 23rd. And you would think, how would they come together that many times if that's usually where they're starting? Well, it's typically when the tire compound strategy starts getting intermixed with the race. Raghunathan has come into contact with this team. Jet Jordan at Indy, that was kind of more on Jordan. Or was it Sonoda? I know he hit one of them. I think it was Sonoda. Um, and then at Spa, took out Armstrong when he was in, maybe not in winning position, but possibly for second. And then could have been a second place finish where he was before the incident at the Nürburgring, which would make the points gap less bad. But Armstrong, new race, new day, has 112 points to try to close in, as he will bring us to green. And green flag is out. We are racing here at the Italian Grand Prix once again. Slipstreams are big in this track. You're going to see some dive bomb moves into this tight turn one, but the guys at the front going to be pretty well behaved, as everyone back here has to check up with how tight it is. But Armstrong already has a big lead going into the first few turns. Allgaier in second, Zilic already under attack in third. As back here, these drivers all fairly close together. Shane Van Gisbergen is in between 3 Viking racing cars, all very close together. As everyone at the front seemingly very well behaved at the start, not any uber aggressive moves, but Armstrong already up to a 1.5 second lead but he is on the medium tires. Van Gisbergen is on the soft, so he's really going to need some help, preferably from the 99, as he is also on the soft tires. But this is going to be one group going into turn 1. How bold will they go? Siegel looking to the inside of Van Gisbergen. But who's going to get it? Van Gisbergen going to stay just ahead as they go into turn 1. The draft train is pretty powerful here. Armstrong already up to a 2.2 second lead. Van Gisbergen still hanging in just behind the number 9. This is back here with Siegel running in 5th position. As Zilich has tracked down Justin Allgaier, as Armstrong, you can see, is already pretty far ahead. Zilich looking to the outside of Allgaier, but Allgaier's going to help his teammate Van Gisbergen get through. And Shane Van Gisbergen now runs in 3rd, knocking Zilich off of the podium. And Van Gisbergen's going to try and go for 2nd here, to the inside of his teammate. But here comes Zilich with a big run. He's going to the inside of Allgaier. And Van Gisbergen may have just got trucked there. As side by side into turn 1, who's going to have the better run off the turn? Seems like it will be Allgaier, but Zilich and Siegel jump Van Gisbergen there. He drops down to 5th. Meanwhile, as these guys battle, that helps the 33 as Zilich to the inside of Allgaier. Can't quite get there. He is going to stay in line, not going to push the issue just yet. Still a long way to go. Not many road course races remain on the schedule at this point. We've already hit most of them. I think we have Coda, Mexico City, and Long Beach. So 3. As there goes Zilich looking for a move, but here comes Siegel trying to do the same move that Van Gisbergen put onto Zilich into the Parabolica. Siegel gonna have the better line here, and he is going to move up into 2nd. As we already have 1 car pitting, it's the 24 of Chet Jordan. He has come in, opting for an interesting strategy call early on, as Zilich and Van Gisbergen side by side. And Van Gisbergen gonna stay ahead. So Chet Jordan came in. He takes a 6.3 second stop. It's coming out on the soft, so he's looking at 2 stops in this race. It's quite interesting to go for early on, but this track is known for its speed. That's not something that you want to lack. So Armstrong up to about a 6-second lead now as he is taking off. And these guys just not really making any ground up. Here comes Van Gisbergen looking for 2nd, and he is going to get it, and Zilich is going to try and attack on his teammate. Viking Racing and Swindlers of the Immortals have been going back and forth all season. And this is for the team standings lead as here comes Van Gisbergen for second. Benjamin Peterson entered pit lane, so we have another car pitting. As side by side are the teammates, Zilich back there as well. So gonna have to see if Allgaier is able to attack back on Van Gisbergen, because Van Gisbergen's tires, although softs, and that's what you would believe would be better, as Armstrong, I think, just had an off, and he has just lost about 2 seconds worth of time. Can't be doing that, as now Van Gisbergen's right back there. Luckily he had a big lead, but you cannot afford that. As Allgaier looking to attack on his teammate, Zilich cannot pick a lane. Very indecisive, as they are now just 1.2 seconds behind Armstrong, but side by side into this first turn. Gonna make him lose the draft just a little, as Allgaier gonna go back on his teammate. Allgaier not far back in the championship, so he's not gonna be willing to concede. And Zilich and Siegel are pretty close in points as well, as Van Gisbergen is going to lose a spot to Siegel and Zilich and drop down to 5th. Brennan Hubbard hanging on in 6th for the whole race. Armstrong's lead shrinks to 1.5 seconds from what was 5 seconds. I think at that point it was probably closer to 6. Siegel on the back of Allgaier. Now these guys are on the hard, so they might be starting to get into a better window. This is one of the longer road course races on mileage, just because these are fast laps. The average lap time here will probably be faster than the average lap time at New Hampshire, which is where we go next week. Short oval at 1 mile, as Siegel now only going to be 1 second back from Armstrong, and Zilich going to move into 3rd. Allgaier in 4th, Van Gisbergen in 5th. Hubbard's dropped back a bit in the 6th position, as Alessio Deletta is carving his way forward. He's up to 9th. But Armstrong's lead, one mistake and it has disappeared. Half a second over Siegel, who's on the medium tires as well. Only 2 cars have pit at this point, as Dorian Pin has found herself into the gravel, deep into the gravel, and she has just had a rough go of it the last few races. She will get back on the track, down in 17th, as we have a battle for the lead here. Siegel has closed in, but here comes Zilich trying to make a move to the inside. Van Gisbergen has fallen back a bit. His soft tires are probably starting to wear. Same with Hubbard. He's no longer keeping up, so we may see him come soon. But we now have a drag race down into turn 1. Zilich on the outside, Armstrong on the inside. And Zilich is going to take the lead. First lead change of the day. It's the number 9 out front. Zilich has not been back to victory lane since his first win at Aragon. Has had the pace to do it, just hasn't been able to get it done. Chet Jordan and Benjamin Peterson remain the only two cars that have pit. Both are on softs, so they're probably going to have to pit again. As Zilich is really starting to build a lead here. He is on the hard tires, so his might be the best at this point. He's up to 1.3 seconds. So things starting to seem a bit unstable for these guys as Zilich is up to 2-second lead. His tires appear to be in the best shape. Van Gisbergen gonna come in. He was on the soft tires, as Hubbard will come in as well. He was also on the softs, as Siegel trying to go for second here. Armstrong gonna try and brake later. As these guys are side by side, that's helping Zilich get away. Gonna have to see where Van Gisbergen comes out in terms of the 24. These guys are side by side through turn 3. And it is going to be Armstrong that stays ahead. Siegel way wide with a huge slide in the turn as well. So Chet Jordan has come out ahead of Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen has come out on the mediums, so he has about 22 laps to go with those. But he did come in earlier at the Nürburgring, and it worked in his favor. The difference is this race is about 30 miles longer in distance. Can lightning strike twice? It's gonna be hard to tell. This might be the race where the hard tires actually are the best option. We haven't seen them be the best option much. We saw the soft tires be the best at Spa. As Allgaier gonna try and take a peek round the outside. But he's gonna lose a spot to Siegel just because of the draft. Meanwhile, has moved up to 5th, Alessio Deletta, making up some good spots here. As Dorian Pinn gonna enter pit lane. She had an issue earlier and lost some spots. That's Chet Jordan you see right now in 23rd. Van Gisbergen back here in 25th. As Zilich is gone, he is up to a 6.5 second lead, which is bigger than what Armstrong ever had. Armstrong's last lap, a 129.5. Zilich's was a 126.3. That is 3 seconds quicker on one lap. That number 9 is hauling. Allgaier gonna swap ahead of Nolan Siegel again, but Allgaier's on the hard tires, and we aren't seeing the same thing that we're seeing out of Zilich, so we might be seeing just something magical up there, as he's already almost up to 9 seconds now, and he just hit the 7-second mark. Allgaier trying to go for second. This is probably what he needs to do. Next driver on hards outside of the top 2 is Huertas, down in 9th. As Chet Jordan gonna pit again now. We still have 20 laps to go, so ugh. And Armstrong gonna try and go back on Allgaier. Whoa, big slide there. Jordan doesn't come out on the hards or mediums at least. He's gonna be in some trouble. And he will come out on the medium, so he's gonna try and go 20 laps there. It's gonna be a bit safer than Van Gisbergen, but much farther behind as Siegel and Armstrong come together. Alessio Deletta is also around on his own. Armstrong going to get back going. Siegel gets back going. But contact between third and fourth. And they have dropped way behind. And you got to be thinking, is there some damage there? They're still side by side. They're not willing to give up anything. But Siegel, you can see his wing is clearly damaged. Foster has entered the pit lane. He moved up into third and all that. They can't get to pit lane now. Nor are we sure if they really want to at this point. But that helps Van Gisbergen, as that's second and third in the championship as well. Siegel, you can definitely see his front wing is damaged. Yeah, you can see just a little bit. Armstrong looks better. His car looks pretty fine. But Zilich and Allgaier are now completely checked out. Almost 20 seconds up on the 19. But the 33 seems to be a bit more sluggish, so that might be a worse condition than what it looks like. But that is huge. Meanwhile, Van Gisbergen still cutting his way through the field. He's up to 23rd, Hubbard in 25th. Louis Foster came out in 26th. Yeah, Armstrong has some damage, more in the side pod area. We're going to have to go back and see what happened probably at the end of the race. As here comes Huertas looking for positions. He's having a good run. And then I think Deletta just spun on his own. But Huertas is going to come into the pits here. Armstrong now looking to get back by the number 19. This is for third, as a lot of cars came in. Huertas, Martz, Robb, Gagne, Ragunathan, Allen, and Tenzin all came in. As Siegel and Deletta now battle. Zilich is up to nearly a 10-second lead. And Deletta gonna go by Siegel here. So you can't even see the next car yet. There comes Allgaier. He's all the way back here, and you would not be able to see back to 33. As Zilich gonna come in now. About 12 laps on the hards, so he's gonna need to make it about 18 on whatever he chooses next. Allgaier gonna come in as well. I don't know why he would come in. It looked pretty solid. But those two have now entered the pits. Gonna have to see if these guys, any of them, decide to stay out or if they're trying to go to halfway. But this is a good call from Zilich to prevent funky things if the number one comes out ahead, as he's actually gonna be way far ahead. He doesn't even get jumped there, as Deletta going for second. Allgaier gonna come out not far behind either, so this number 9. Oh man, he is basically a full pit stop ahead of the leaders. Which that is absolutely massive if some funky yellows come out or just something strange happens. But Deletta starting to look pretty good. Running in second, he is on the medium tire. A lot of the guys that haven't pit are on the mediums. Van Gisbergen has cycled to 11th. As the 87 has just found himself in the barrier, and that is going to be a yellow flag if he can't get back going, which I assume that is a dead car. And he will despawn, so that will be a yellow flag. Let's see what happened to him. He looked fine. He was pulling out ahead. Just may have went too hard on the tires and just completely loses it. cannot save it going into the turn. And that's gonna sting. That was a good performance that he had going. Let's go on board with Deletta. Yeah, just way too much speed into the marbles, and he's gonna go off. So let's also go back a few laps. Think it would be around here. So side by side. We're gonna need to see from above what really happened there. And then Deletta just kind of spun out on his own. But you see the two cars coming down into the turn. Armstrong on the curb. He's just going to swing out a little too wide. And that's going to take out him and the 19. They are able to continue, but going to have some damage. So when they pit, it may be a longer stop. So one car out of the race. Once again, this helps number 1 of Van Gisbergen, but Connor Zilich is pretty well set, but he is actually on the soft tires. Uh-oh. Did he just fumble it? He might have. Oh, man. Everyone behind him is going to have to pit. Siegel, Armstrong, Malukas, Glubler, Rowe, Brewer, and Robbie all have not pit at all this race. So gonna have to see what people decide to do here. But Zilich and Allgaier are both on the soft. Soft tires cannot go that long. They are going to have to pit again. Uh-oh. But Siegel is going to lead some cars into the pits here. Gonna have to see how long his stop is. Because I assume they're probably gonna have to do some wing damage repairment here. As yeah, both of them gonna have longer stops. Malukas is actually gonna get out first. Armstrong, 10.2 second pit stop. Siegel is gonna drop to the end here. So they're still working on that wing. The 30-second pit stop, he is going to be at the back of the field. Unfortunately, but the race has just been turned on its head once again. Only one guy out there on hards currently, and that's Francesco Draconi back in 11th. Gonna have to see how long he can go. We don't really know how long they can go since we haven't seen a true full stint. So we are on lap 16 of 30. We're just a little bit over halfway. 87 of Alessio Deletta has fallen out of the race. Second and third in the championship have come together. So Zilich going to lead us back to green on an interesting strategy choice. We don't know if Van Gisbergen can get to the end. He is on the mediums. He has teammate Louis Foster and Brendan Hubbard right behind on the mediums. Foster has a little better tires. He had pit only a couple laps ago, where Van Gisbergen and Hubbard almost 10 laps ago pit. They're going to be in a long haul to the finish. Can they make it? I don't know. Gonna have to do about 22 laps. I think that might be asking for a little too much. But here we go, getting ready to go back green. Pace car will pull off here. And Zilich will accelerate here, going down into turn one. We're back under green here at Monza. Zilich and Allgaier, all they want to do here is build a big lead. But Zilich wants to make sure that Allgaier doesn't fight him. Armstrong was able to get away pretty well earlier. Zilich trying to hope that the draft can be broken. But right now, Allgaier's staying right with him. Armstrong trying to cut his way through the field. He is up to 17th. Siegel's up to 24th, so both have already gained a couple spots as they stand. Field's been pretty scrambled through that. But Armstrong and Siegel got a lot better chances of making it to the end than most guys, but right now Malukas is currently in the best spot. But he's going to have Armstrong right on him, so we're going to have to watch to see how that develops. Since Armstrong came out on the mediums and he made it to halfway, I'm certain he can go to the end. But can these guys? Probably not. Allgaier going to try and go for the lead here. As that's going to be another lead change in the race. If he can hang on here, yes he will. So Allgaier now your leader. Swindlers have 1, 3, 4, and 6, which really just describes the kind of season that that team's having. But Zilich, all the way on the outside of the turn, he's going to try and dive bomb into the chicane, can't quite get there, and almost left the door open for the one of Van Gisbergen. Foster nearly goes into the dirt. .13 to go. So a little past halfway. Armstrong still sits in 17th, Siegel up to 23rd. We expect these guys to come in again. Foster might be able to make it to the end, so he might be the guy to watch. Van Gisbergen and Hubbard going to have a tough ways to go. Right now, he's not making any moves to go forward. As Zilich gonna try and pop to the outside. There's just no room to make a pass there. Siegel continues to cut forward. He is battling for 22nd right now in the Hornet's Nest. So Allgaier did lead a lap, so he does get a bonus point for that. Right now, fastest lap bonus point, I think would go to Chet Jordan. Yes, 125.01 would be the fastest lap set by the 24 of Chet Jordan, who's back in 8th. He's going to have a tough ways to go to the end. Nearly 20 laps. Easier than Van Gisbergen, harder than Foster, but he's not too far back there. He could be back in this. So it's looking like, for a good amount of the field, a two-stopper. As here comes Van Gisbergen looking for a move on Zilich. And Foster may try to follow, trying to force the number 9 off the podium here. Van Gisbergen's going to have the better line, and he's going to have the run. And he will be up into second. Allgaier got ahead just a little bit, up to a 7/10 lead. Honestly, the best thing for them is to let the number 1 take off, because I don't think he's going to be able to make it. At least if he pushes pretty hard, he won't. But we were shocked at the Nürburgring, and we could be shocked again. So Zilich gonna have to fight back here. Allgaier up to nearly a second lead. Looking for win number 2 in his career. Lost a good amount of his lead in the rookie of the season standings as Draconi got a podium finish at the Nürburgring. Armstrong really not making up much ground, still sitting in 17th, as here comes Zilich to the inside. And Van Gisbergen's teammate Louis Foster going to come with, and I think both might be able to pass Van Gisbergen here. Louis Foster knows that he could win this race. He's trying to get involved up here. Dorian Pin also has a chance. Hasn't won for this team yet, as Chet Jordan has moved into 6th back there, so he's going to try and show up here. Bewildering strategy choices early on may have been the correct call for the 24, as he is back in this. He has about the same length to go as the 43. But with that team battling, Zilich has kind of gotten away, and he sits in 2nd now. About 1 second up from them, 1 second behind Allgaier. So Foster now sits in 3rd ahead of teammate and points leader Van Gisbergen. Foster's 4th in the championship, so he's definitely not out of it. Back here, Ryan Preece making a move on teammate Martz for 9th. Really trying to make up some points here. As Foster has closed back in on Zilich. Soft tire advantage has probably faded by now. But still looking to gain as much time as they can so they're not as far back in the Hornet's nest. But it is a pretty long pit road. 2-second lead for Allgaier here. Brees just got into a bit of the dirt there. Just saw his car pop up coming out of the chicane. 8 laps to go. Allgaier still sitting pretty. Zilich trying to hold off pretty much the entire Swindlers of the Immortals team. As Dorian Pin making a move. She's seeing opportunity here. Teammates side by side in the chicane. And Pin's going to come out ahead onto the podium in third. Right now having a very good run, and that 10 could be someone that she has to battle in the end. Dan Gisbergen has dropped down to 5th. Chet Jordan not making up really the time that he needs. He's down in 6th. About 4 seconds back. Lucas now starting to move his way up through the field. He's up to 14th. Assuming some of these guys need to pit, he could be in for a good position. Foster might try and look around the outside of teammate Dorian Pin. Can't quite get there as Justin Allgaier has to come in now. But that's all the 14 could do. He has 7 laps. He's going to come out pretty far back in the field. As Louis Foster trying to make a move, but that allows Van Gisbergen to try to get involved in the fight. Still side by side for third now, in what will probably end up being second. Foster going to hang on right there. Allgaier going to come out at the tail end of the field. Going to see how many cars he can pick off in the time that he has. Armstrong is up to 15th now. So he just got by the 53, but the 04 still doing the best at moving forward. Zilich leads by 7 tenths, but he knows he's going to have to come in soon. Seven laps to go. Dorian Pin all over the back of Connor Zilich. She's seeing what could be a victory here. Gonna go to the outside. Can't quite get there. Zilich is probably coming in this time or the next time, but I think he's gonna, no, he's gonna stay out another lap. So the top 4 all bunched together. Jordan about 4 seconds back. Dorian Pin making a move to the inside. This is for the lead. But Zilich gonna try and outbrake in turn 1. He's gonna be able to. He's gonna stay ahead here. He has been the fastest car for most of the day. But just looks like it may not go in his favor once again. Chet Jordan closing in. So he could still get involved up here late in the going. It's Van Gisbergen pretty wide coming off the turn. Yeah, Van Gisbergen and Hubbard are the longest since they've last pit. Longest stint that we've seen today is about 15 laps. They are on 16. as the 95 of Nico Hulkenberg is around in the middle of the track. He's going to reverse here and get back going, but a little sketchy there. Yeah, we have seen 16 laps out of Zilich. That's about it, as Pin and Van Gisbergen come in, which means Foster probably can't make it, Jordan can't make it, Zilich could end up in a good spot, Hubbard comes in as well. This is the battle for the lead now. It's Zilich and Foster, so a pretty rare two-stop race. Except for maybe Malukas and Armstrong, which means Malukas could be on track for his first victory here. Zilich trying to hold off Foster. He's still trying to gain time so he doesn't have to get stuck in the swarm like the 14. This could be a huge points day for Armstrong and Siegel. Priest moves up into 4th. Elas pit at 16. He is on the mediums. Hold on. I think we've been looking at the wrong guys. Priest might be in a good spot here. As the 53 is way off track, he's going to get back going there. But this may not be either Armstrong or Malukas' race. I think this is the 64 of Ryan Priest's race. Look at the stint length. He only has 12 to go, as Foster now going to inherit the lead as Zilich comes in with Chet Jordan. With 4 laps to go, Priest can make it. Priest can make it. Huertas, Martz, they're going to be close. This might be the 64. As a Stingray Rob has found himself off in the Parabolica. He's going to get back going. Foster leads Priest by 8 seconds. He has broken away from Huertas. Really wants to get into the top 10 in points. As Armstrong has gotten by Malukas. So Armstrong's up to 8th. But his biggest nemesis this season is right in front of him. That is the 54 of Mahavir Raghunathan. As Van Gisbergen has dropped all the way down to 22nd, Pin 21st. Allgaier has made his way up to 18th. Zilich in 20th. Oh man, how is this gonna end? Foster still, if he could limp around, it could be his. I think it's between the 10 or the 64. Foster's going to be really close on tires, fuel, everything. Fortunately, Chet Jordan's going to have 3 stops this race, so he's all the way back in 24th. Armstrong making a move on the 54 here. Or not, he's going to stay in line, and this is going to allow Malukas to try to get to the inside of him. They're side by side coming off the turn. With 3 laps to go, Armstrong needs to make up as much points as he can. This is the perfect opportunity. Whoa, near contact with Malukas there. Van Gisbergen gets by Zilich back here, so he's up to 20th. Foster still ahead. He's going to be coming to 2 to go. Can he make it? He's going to stay out. He thinks he can make it. 2 laps to go. There's only one more opportunity, and Priest is not within passing zone. Foster has 1 win on the season. all the way back at the Motegi Road Course. He's not out of the championship fight. He runs in 4th. These guys are battling for 3rd. Or sorry, 4th. Banshees of Little Miami having another good day today. Maybe not Deletta, but everyone else. Ragunathan is being very heavy on the defense here. That is really stacking a lot of these guys up. Armstrong lost a spot to Malukas there. Just the 33 not being able to cut through the field like he would have liked. But Foster with 2 laps to go. Can he get it done? He's been by himself the last few laps, so has been burning fuel. Coming to the white flag. Can he make it? And he is going to stay out. White flag for Louis Foster. Ryan Priest back there in 2nd. So close, but it seems like it's so far. Swarm of cars going into turn 1. Armstrong's trying to go around the outside of Ragunathan, but can't quite get there. As look at Miles Rowe trying to get involved. Siegel back there as well. He knows he can make up points, but Louis Foster 6.5 seconds up the road from Ryan Priest. He was able to conserve the best. And it is showing, but the time is dropping, so he might be really struggling up to this point, but it won't matter. 1 turn left. It's the famous Parabolica. Swindlers of the Immortals, their dominant season as a team continues. Louis Foster, he's back in the championship fight as he will win at Monza. Ryan Priest going to come home 2nd with a strong effort, and then Carlos Huertas will get his first career podium as he will come home in 3rd. Another amazing day for the Banshees as they're going to finish 5th and 6th. Back here, Miles Rowe, I believe, passed Armstrong right at the line for 8th. As he is out of fuel. That car is completely stopped now. He could not make another lap on fuel. So let's take a look at your final results as your winner cannot make it back to the line. 6.6 second lead over Ryan Priest. 1 more lap and he wouldn't have won it. Ryan Priest going to come home second. Carlos Huertas will take third. Ethan Martz down in fourth. That's a very good day for Team Eggs with a second and a fourth. Um, Francesco Draconi in fifth, another good result from him. Benjamin Peterson returns to the top 10 in sixth. Ragunathan will come home seventh, able to hold off Armstrong. And while holding him off, Armstrong got passed by Miles Rowe in the Parabolica. He went from like 11th to 8th in one lap. That's pretty incredible. Um, yeah, Armstrong will come home ninth. He will make up some points, so not going to be too upset, but could have been better. Malukas will be down in 10th. Siegel in 11th. Not going to be too happy with Armstrong there. DeFrancesco 12th. Glubler will take 13th. 14th will be Lindsey Brewer. 15th, Dawa Tenzin. 16th, Robbie Lohr, as I believe Malukas, I think that's Malukas, is out of fuel. Wasn't quite able to tell. But Robbie Lohr 16th, Justin Allgaier, unfortunate, not going to work out. He's going to be in 17th. 18th for Gagne, 19th Van Gisbergen, 20th for Zillage. A lot of those guys, it just doesn't work out all the time. Van Gisbergen finally bitten by some bad luck. Lawless Allen, 21st. Chet Jordan, 22nd. Dorian Pinn, struggle continues. She's down in 23rd. McStinkle not able to recapture the magic from Season 2, going to finish 24th. Stingray Rob, 25th. Nico Hulkenberg, a disappointing 26th in what will be the team's final start, as that is going to be the end of an era for that team. Made it through Season 3, 4, got 3 total wins, but that will unfortunately be doors closed at the shop. Brendan Hubbard, a disappointing 27th. And then Alessio Deletta, your one DNF from the day, as Siegel is also out of fuel. A crazy day here at Monza. A lot of strategy, fuel stretching. Man, was it exciting. That is it for the European leg of the season. Up next, we return to America and the Oval as we go to New Hampshire at the 1 mile circuit. Qualifying will be on Tuesday, race on Wednesday,